Hi, everyone, and welcome to CBS Sports Radio's Videos Podcast. I'm James Hale. Our very special guest is the greatest softball coach in the country. She gets mad when I say that, but there's no question she is. We welcome Miss Patty Gasso, and we welcome her husband, Jim Gasso, who is the GM of the assistant GM of the professional softball team that will be playing this summer in Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Sparks. How are the Gassos doing today?
Good, very good. Getting ready to start the season.
Jim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just trying to make a living.
You're signing players and everything,
Yes, we're trying to get.
Now, the first question people would go, why don't you just sign every player from OU?
That'd be nice.
Patty, you're on is this really your 29th season?
It is, yeah, I know. It happened fast.
It did, because I remember when you first got here. It's amazing that you're on your 29th season, and yet I think things are rolling better than they ever have. Would you agree?
I would. I think we've done a good job of getting the right athletes here, cultivating this culture that is pretty rock solid and attractive to some young players as well. So got the right coaches, good staff. Everybody's just, I don't know. It's really solid. I think young athletes' parents want them in here as well for many reasons. But it's been going really well.
Sports athletics has changed with the advent of the transfer portal, everything that's going on, the NIL. Yet you seem, and your staff seems to be able to adjust to it. You're recruiting at a high level. But how difficult has that been?
It hasn't really been difficult for us. I think of it, and I was a junior college coach, so I look at the transfer portal almost like going after junior college athletes who are prepared, ready, they've had seasons, so they add some experience to your program, but they fill quick needs, and you don't have to depend always on the freshman who needs more time to learn the system. So we've done very well with the transfer portal and got some pretty elite athletes who I think from afar have been kind of dreaming about the opportunity of playing in our program, but they all have the same phrase, and that is I want to have a chance to win a national championship. That's one reason why I'm attracted to Oklahoma. And some of those dreams have come true as of lately for many of these transfer kids. So it's an easy transition for me. I don't look at it as something that's really hard. I look at it as something that is necessary to complete your roster.
You've also been recruiting at a high level. Every year you have the first, second, or third highest rated recruiting class. Yet you bring in the transfer portal players, and you're ranked number one in that area too. How have you balanced that with your recruiting class coming in, and what do you tell those young recruits when you bring in a player that's already hit 25 home runs on the college level?
Yeah, that is tough. But our freshmen understand when they're in the mix that they're a little behind and they need time. So I've redshirted more athletes than I ever have in my career, which makes sense. I mean, it really does make sense. And I want them to make sense of it as well. So there's a clear agreement that is the best thing to do in these situations. But the culture here and the attitude is like we all root for each other. Iron sharpens iron. I think at every position you've got two really good players that are fighting for each other. So just because you're a transfer athlete or super senior does not mean you're going to be in the starting lineup. But the competition has been phenomenal, and that's been really helpful as well.
Let's talk about that culture. What is the Oklahoma softball culture?
Blue collar, and sometimes I have to explain what that means to some of the young players who have never heard that phrase. So it's just hard work, it's humility, it's teamwork, togetherness, it's really being inclusive. We come from all kinds of different backgrounds, different parts of the country, so it's acceptance of who people are and like understanding. It's relationships, it's faith. Seems to be very faith-based as well. So it just encompasses every part of life for the most part. And so our goal and what we pride ourselves is that these athletes come in as girls and leave as women. And so we're not just trying to win championships, but we're trying to prepare their walk and their way of life.
Well, you've got a great team coming back, and of course, you're super at what you've got going there. You've won back-to-back national championships. You've done that twice. Now you're trying to win a third. It's very few teams have been able to do that. But you've got a monster team, and so the transfer portal girls coming in. But you do lose the number one player in college softball, the queen of softball, and Jocelyn Allo. So talk about that challenge.
Well, it is a challenge because she was so instrumental in our championships, Jossie, and the big home runs and the timely hits. But the only way, you can't replace her, you just have to fill the lineup up even stronger. And I feel like we've done that. 1 through 9, any one of these athletes can hit it over the fence. They don't strike out a lot, they walk a lot, so you're going to see a lot of base running, a lot of opportunities to drive in runs. And that's the key. I just don't see a big weakness in our offense. And we didn't really have much of one last year. So I'm going to tell you, James, every one of these players are capable of hitting 20 home runs or more.
Wow.
And so it's going to be something to watch, but we're also going to have some rough times. I know that. So it's also going to be important for me to know how to integrate our young players and keep them engaged. So I'm going to be moving the lineup in game quite a bit as well.
I want to talk about this culture because I think Jocelyn Allo is a perfect example of what you're talking about. When Jocelyn, 2 years ago, or when she was a sophomore, you left her home for a weekend because she wasn't doing things academically correct, or she didn't have her head where you thought. But if you can do that to Jocelyn Allo, that shows every other player that ever comes into this program or has ever played here that, no matter who you are, you've got to do everything you need to do, whether it's academics, whether it's acting right, whatever it is, to be on this softball team.
Well, I think our players understand that there's not one player that's bigger than our program. And quite often I tell them we can win. I could take any one of you off this roster or off this field, and we're still going to win. And you're going to sit at home and watch us win. So either you figure it out, but I just don't like, none of our players or coaches want distractions on the field. So when we walk out onto the field, it's our office, it's our workplace, but they also enjoy. Even you can work hard in your office, but you can also enjoy what you're doing in your office. And that's what we do a lot of. So if you are a distraction or you're not in tune, I usually send you home or let you kind of think about what you're doing. I think Jocelyn Allo would tell you that moment in her career changed her career because what she loved got taken away from her. But at that moment, she didn't know that she loved it. She thought she hated it. It was just the worst thing in her world at that time. But to see where she's come since then has been unbelievable.
No, it has. There's no doubt about it. I'm curious, Jim, from your standpoint, Patty has become this iconic coach. You're a very good softball coach in your own right, and the things that you do and things. Your support of her, how do you go about trying to do that? And, because you guys are husband and wife, but you're not in the background here. We know you're around. You're always, doing things. And so how do you support her in her career?
Well, I want to keep my marriage, so I want to make sure that I'm there for her. No, but seriously, Patty has evolved from being a nobody to a somebody, but she's worked her butt off, and that's what I liked about her when I first met her, was her work ethic, and seeing her do things at an early stage in her life, and then just watching her just gravitate and get better and better and better. And so I want to be there for her to make sure that she has everything in her power to be able to continue to take care of her players and her program, coaches, everybody that's involved. So
Well, it has to be a working relationship because, Patty, nobody thinks about you've got a family, you've got a husband. Everybody just thinks those are your 15 girls out here or 20 girls out here, and actually you got 2 sons, you've got grandkids, you got everything else. How tough is it to balance that life that you have at home?
It is tough. At first, it's the first time I've ever heard he was attracted to my work ethic. So I don't know how to
You learn
take
something
that.
every day,
I
don't you?
know how to take that. I count on Jimmy to help me a lot with, he is very helpful around the house. He does something that I don't like to do, which is laundry. He does it, folds it, puts it away very neatly, I must say. Helps with dinners and things. It's a tough life to live, and he has been very sacrificial in allowing that to happen for this program and our family. I think I mimic the words our players say this day and age it's time. You just don't have time. You don't have time to spend enough time with your grandkids or your family or vacations, or you can make time. It's just what you choose to do. And I feel that is one thing that has changed in this world of athletics, at least in the way of coaching, is that you just don't feel like you have time to live. You know what every day is going to look like. I know it is right now in February, and I know my entire schedule and how it will play out all the way to December. And
Wow.
I don't know that that's the greatest way to live. And so that's the one piece that I feel like I need more of is time to enjoy life instead of, my work ethic towards softball and what I do in my career.
So, Jim, when you hear this schedule and you know she gives you this schedule, how do you react at home? You got to roll with it?
Oh, absolutely. I got to make sure that, the time I get the schedule, I know, what she's going to be doing, then allows me to put in the time that I'm going to have to be able to utilize those moments that we're going to have time together. So that, that works out in our favor. We have to be like that. It's just, there's no way around that, so.
Well, you guys have been married a long time, so you must like those times together. Nobody thinks about it, but I'm sure you have a date every once in a while, right? Or I'm sure you go out every once in a while, right? I don't know do you go to a movie? You guys.
No, not much. I think it's just, I like the comforts of being at home. And that's my vacation, is when the day is done, I like to go home. We'll sit and chat a little bit, but sometimes I try not to talk a lot about softball, but sometimes you have to. But these days, we've had the fireplace on, surrounded by our dogs, and just relaxing on the couch and watching TV. That to me is a safe place that, I feel comfort when I have those opportunities.
You're lucky, though. He loves softball, so I imagine he's a pretty good sounding board?
Yeah. At times, yes.
Are you?
Sometimes I don't want to bring it up because I know that it'll go a little bit longer than needed. So, but he gives good advice. He knows me. He knows what I'm dealing with. So, definitely share the things I need help with.
And I want fans to know we are going to get back to this team this season, but there's other things I want to dive into and talk about. So we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll have more on our CBS Radio video podcast right after this timeout. Welcome back to our CBS video podcast. And Patty, I want to take you back to Torrance, California. I get asked all the time, what kind of player was Patty Gasso? And I have no idea. Did she hit home runs? I said, no. I don't think they hit home runs back then, right? The ball wasn't right. So tell us about Patty Gasso in Torrance, California.
I grew up, my back gate opened up into a park, so I played all the time. And that's where I learned that I wanted to coach. That's where
You only played one sport?
No. You know what? If there was women's flag football, that'd be I was at the park. They had t-ball, softball, baseball. They had basketball, indoor and outdoor. And we didn't, in California, you'd think we'd play a lot of volleyball, but at the park I was at, it's not really near the beach, we're playing flag football. And I loved it. It was so much fun for me. So I was pretty athletic and learned that I was kind of quiet. I wasn't real outgoing, but I was understanding that my friends who we're playing with always counted on me to make rules, pick teams.
You were already
learn
the coach.
faces. So I learned about leadership in that way. So I grew up that way. I was a good softball player. I was a good basketball player, at least in my eyes, I was. Good flag football player, which no one cared about. But I had knee problems that got in the way of my career in both areas. But it was easier for me to play softball with my knee problems. And I was very good on defense, had a good, strong arm, played shortstop, played
Okay.
third base. But when I was playing, we didn't wear helmets. We were using wooden bats.
Were you really?
I'm that person that's saying those kinds of things. It's true.
I didn't know that was
Yeah,
ever happening in
it's
softball.
True,
Okay.
It's true. So played at Long Beach State and El Camino Junior College, Long Beach State. And I was speedy, strong arm, good defense. But back then, nobody was really great in offense
Right.
because pitchers were throwing from 40 feet and throwing 100 miles an hour. So the games were like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. They were fast games. I mean, they'd be done an hour and 30 minutes because it was just constant strikeouts throughout. So I love where the game has gone. I think that's very appealing for the modern fan to see home runs, see a lot of runs. But back in those days, it was a pitching duel with zero hitting.
And they also moved the pitching circle back, right?
They moved it back to 43 to try to enhance more offense. They also improved equipment to allow balls to get hit further. I mean, a lot of things really moved into a new generation. And with that, athletes were being trained better, properly, stronger. Teaching, travel ball coaches, teaching better. So it's just really it's such an offensive game now. So much so that at our convention, they were talking about the idea of adjusting things, like maybe pushing back the fences, like too many home runs, too much offense. I'm like, that's what's bringing people to the park. That's
It is.
what people are tuning in for.
I hope they don't screw with that.
I hope so. But yeah, I was nothing very popular back in the day, but it did create me to understand I wanted to get into coaching.
So you jumped into coaching right after you graduated?
Yeah.
And you got a head coaching job at Long Beach?
My first coaching job was a basketball coaching job at a high school, JV high school, Aviation High School, and then Downey High School, JV basketball. I thought basketball might be my sport until I realized how close I was to the officials, and I didn't want to get myself in trouble. So my first softball job was Sunny Hills High School. I was student teaching there and coaching there, and they were very, very good. And then from there, got a full-time job at La Mirada High School, was there for 4 years, and went to Long Beach City College, closer to where we were living. And
so you'd already met Jim at this point?
yes, actually in college. We met in college, and he really inspired me to want to work on my master's. When I was done with school, I'm like, I'm done with school. But it was one of the greatest moves I made to get it over with. And he also had a lot of connections, so he helped me get connected into some of these programs as well.
So Jim, what was Jim doing? How did you have these connections?
Well,
Were you already a high school coach at that time?
Yeah. I was when I first met Patty. When we were both physical education majors, and I was in my last semester of college. I was getting ready to graduate when I met her, when we ran across her. So I had no idea who she was until, one day I'm walking to the backside of our college, and I see from the distance, I see my brother, right by the putting green that we had for golf classes, and I see that he was talking to somebody, and as I got closer, and then I started seeing it was her, but I didn't know her, so just walked by my brother, said hi.
Were you smitten right away?
I was in his class.
I didn't know
So
she was in my class
obviously he
after
didn't
the fact.
pay
yes.
attention.
So I was trying to ignore her. I saw my brother. Didn't give her the time of day, so play it off. And then the next day, I saw her, and she's walking through in the class that I was in, and so I had no idea that we were in the class together. So wow.
It was back in the day of the old short dolphin shorts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 It was actually, it wasn't a bad time in life. So anyway, so you get this, so you determine that you're too close to the officials in basketball. So when did you take the job at Long Beach Community College? Or that's what I call it, is Long Beach City College?
Long Beach City College.
Right.
I was, I think about 89.
And you were coaching high school at that time?
I was coaching high school, and I was coaching football.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of working out. You guys are in the same community.
Yeah.
And you had a pretty good run there for 4 years.
Yeah, we did well. We got to the state championship game, all of that. At junior college, I loved being there because you just played. I felt like I was one of the students. So I would have a racquetball class, and I'd create a tournament, and I'd put my name in the tournament, and I would just play and teach while I'm playing. And it was very, very active. You were just very active, and that was really fun to be a part of that. And I really enjoyed that. The athletes in junior college are the ones that are getting overseen. So maybe they weren't very good academically or athletically, or they didn't have the money or what have you. So I took a passion to those underdog athletes and trying to help them get on to the next level. So you not only had to recruit, but you had to get them recruited as well from the junior college. So I go on to D1 programs, and I got to witness some of those athletes get their dreams come true. So it was I really enjoyed that level. But there's a part of me that just knew that there was more, and that was really hard because I know Jimmy had his profession as well, and so I just really had ambition of wanting to go to college, coach in college, but in California, all those jobs were filled, and they wouldn't take a junior college coach. So it just happened that Mickey Davis is a woman who was my boss in the Softball Hall of Fame, so
Yeah.
she's very big in the softball world and knows a lot of softball. And she would take me to Oklahoma City to witness
The World Series.
the World Series. And back then, that was like a wow moment. It was like our professional enhancement trip. And there was probably 2,000 people, which was an unbelievable amount of people watching a softball game. I was just
Right.
in awe and wowed by it. And I would sit in the stands in Oklahoma City. I'm living in Long Beach, California.
Right.
And I would watch the games and just dream like a kid would dream that they could go play D1. I was kind of dreaming, could I ever be here one day? Could I ever be actually coaching on this field one day? And it was just kind of a pipe dream. And I would go probably every other year or so. And that's when Marita Hines was very active in putting on the World Series, and she knew Mickey, so I kind of by chance met Marita. But unfortunately, the head coach, Michelle Thomas, had suffered a brain aneurysm. She survived it, but was not in a position to continue to coach. And so Marita reached out to Mickey Davis and asked if I would be interested. And I was just kind of, what? I wasn't ready. I was pregnant with DJ. JT was 7 years old. So it was just Jimmy and I talking through it. And it was tough because he was having his career and I was having mine. And it was a good understanding and mesh. Although when I was at Long Beach City College, he also had become the athletic director at
UC
Santa Cruz, the Banana Slugs.
Right.
So we were living apart a little bit. And so it was a tough decision, and it was just kind of shocking.
Did you take it right away?
No, I mean, they brought us out. I just remember getting out of the airport and getting in the car, and we're driving, and we're from LA. And I'm just, the first thing I think both of us says, where do the people live? Where are the people? I mean, what is in this state? Do
There's
people
no
live
traffic.
here? No traffic. I couldn't wrap my arms around it. But I was really wowed by OU. I mean, we are from Long Beach State is a commuter school.
Right.
And so this was like big time, what you hear about the big time athletics, small town, big time athletics. And we're not small town people. I knew no one in Oklahoma. No, we're beach people. We're beach kids. So I just remember on our interview, they drove us by Reeves Park at night and said, hey, that's where the team plays. And I'm like, oh. And then we just went straight to the football
Did you have better stadiums or better places to play in Long Beach?
We didn't play at a park. We had our own field, but we didn't play at a park field. So I was just more of, oh, yeah, let me see your football. I mean, I bit right in it, I just fell right into the trap of. So it took a lot of prayer, a lot of talk about whether this was going to be our future. So did we come back twice?
Yes.
They brought us back.
So the first
again.
time you didn't take it, so you came back another time.
No, they brought us back and met the team at that time, and so it was down to me and I think one other male. And when it was offered, we Larry Nafee, is he the one that offered to us? We took some OU like face stickers and we came back in with the stickers on our face. And that's something to this day he never forgets. And
That's pretty cool.
Pretty much how the announcement was made.
So you stayed in California, or did you come out right away with her, or did you stay as a athletic director?
Yeah, I stayed. I stayed, and then I came after she made the move here. Yeah.
So when you first got here, how tough of a job was it? Because what I remember, you're playing over there, and we're playing slow pitch softball over there.
Yeah. So I realized.
Talking about fat guys like me.
Well, first the team was like, they were boycotting the softball program because they wanted a certain coach who was an assistant. And when they hired me, it was more of a boycott. So I had to go find these players. I had to talk through it with them. I sat with each player, met them. And so it was rough. These Marita Hines and Don Jimerson.
And this is 1995.
They were practicing with the team. And so there was just no connect. They were just in disarray. I'm sure if it was happening back then, if it was happening in this day, they would all be on the transfer portal. Like nobody knew what was going on, wanted to be here. So I had to kind of gather them up and meet them individually and kind of share my story and my vision. And so we maintained most all of them in the program. And then I learned that we had to practice over at a park field, and you had to be off by 5 because slow pitch is coming. So get off because
I didn't mean to chase you off.
It was
Patty,
you.
sorry.
It was you that was getting us off that field. And then every day before practice, I'd have these guys come early, and we would pick up beer cans, dirty diapers, just trash. Over.
I want you to know, I threw my stuff away before you got there.
So that was kind of the first 2 or 3 years that we were living over in that space.
So when did this become a reality? Marita Hines Field was actually a big deal for you.
Oh yeah, I think we had success right away.
Yes.
And I think that had a lot to do with it. It wasn't like, oh, here's softball team, here's your field, let us know how you do, have fun, girls. And now it became, you guys are pretty good. Hey, let's let's.
Well, you're Big 12 Coach of the Year in '96, right?
It happened pretty quick, yeah. And I was just lucky to have
Or
some
Big
really,
8 Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it was Big 8.
Right.
Yeah. Good players that cared about where the program was going. And a lot of them were junior college players, some that I coached and some that I coached against. So they knew me and they were coming in with experience. And that's what I felt I needed really quickly. And when we showed that we had pretty good talent, then it was like, okay, we can't keep you over there. There was a lot of people complaining too, parents and some fans. So that's when Marita Hines Field was built. And we still didn't have a locker room. We just had a field. This was not the area of locker room, training room, all that, equipment room was not here. So the players would come dressed for practice or come here dressed for the game, or they would change in a public restroom here. So, yeah, we've come a long way. We've come a long way.
Well, you said something, and I want you to reiterate this story, because you have pretty good success, as you said, from '96 to '99. So you're rolling into the 2000 year. You recruit Jennifer Stewart, Ashley Barrett, but you almost didn't coach that year in 2000.
Right.
So that shocks a lot of us because we didn't know it. So what happened, or what was going on in your life in '99?
Jimmy not living here, so the kids are getting old. You know, it's tough to manage them. I needed a lot of help. I counted on some fantastic neighbors, but our conversation for the work that I was putting in, the time away from the family, I wasn't getting paid enough. It wasn't worth it. I was getting paid more money at the junior college than I was here.
Were you really?
Yeah, from the very start. But it was the dream, right? And so it really wasn't for the money. It was more for the opportunity, I guess. So it was getting too hard. This is the space where I wasn't good at anything. I wasn't being a good mother. I wasn't being a good coach. I wasn't being a good recruiter. It was just too much for me to handle on my own. So he would come out, or we would try to go out there. We'd talk long, evenings on the phone. It was lonely. It was hard. It was frustrating. So 2000 in our minds was, this is going to be it. Finish 2000, go back to California.
Really?
And that's when God said, oh, no, you don't. You're going to win a national championship, and you're going to get paid more money, and we're going to build this stadium up to take care of your athletes and so forth. So we had a long talk about, the change in our lives with the new, amount of money, and also the fact of him coming back and working here. So
you made that decision in 2000?
Yeah.
To come back here?
To come back, yeah, exactly right. The 2000 came. I got to say thank you to Donnie Duncan and President Boren for believing in her, and I bought in the minute he called Patty, and I think he was still in the Senate, I believe, and he calls her. He takes a break from there and calls Patty and says, "Congratulations, I'm looking forward, you as our head coach." And I said, "Man, that guy, I got to meet that guy." And man, it was a great time in our lives where he was really instrumental in us being here, and just like Donnie and Marita, and doing the same thing. But yeah, that happened in 2000. We had just made it a conversation that what, this can't go on like this anymore. Either you come here, because I ain't going back there, and it'd be easier, And so, okay. That was the game plan, and then, like Patty said, God said, "Nope, ain't gonna happen like that." So,
well, let's take a time out, and when we come back, we'll talk about that 2000 team and how much that team changed, and not only things at Oklahoma, but maybe in college softball as well. You're listening to the CBS Sports Radio video podcast with Patty Gasso and Jim Gasso. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our CBS Radio video podcast. with Patty and Jim Gasso. Patty, the longtime coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, and of course Jim now the GM, and we're going to talk about the Oklahoma City Spark here in just a little bit. The 2000 team, it's my favorite team. I'm the voice of the team. I'm trying not to bother you for pregame videos. I mean, audio, radio, stuff. And but that team was special, and that team got you going.
Yeah, it was the first ever OU softball team to get to the World Series. And it was loaded with talent that nobody knew. Nobody knew our names. No one cared. So when we got there, it was almost the attitude of, hey, good luck. If you win one game, that's great. Just play hard, have fun. It was like no one thought we would win because there were two teams in it that are absolute powerhouses in our sport, and that was UCLA and Arizona.
Right.
And we had to go through both of them. And Cal Berkeley, the Pac-12 was just loaded. And we went out, and I think we were so young, we didn't know, me included, did not know what we didn't know. So we just showed up, and it's like, oh, okay, this is, nobody was really nervous. It was more of like, what is this? What is this about? And they just played the way they played, and we got some breaks and things started working our way, and we just kept going, and the momentum was building like it was through the season. And I remember us facing Jenny Finch, and that was like probably the highlight of our athletes' life, was beating Jenny Finch, who was at that time the best pitcher there was. And then maybe the highlight for me a little more was the fact that we're playing UCLA in the national championship game in Oklahoma City. Now the fans are coming. Each game we won, more people would come out. So I would imagine it was the highest attended game. And I just remember walking by to the third base dugout where Sue Enquest, who's one of my mentors, Lisa Fernandez, Kelly Inouye, it's a dream team coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I walk by, and they probably don't even know my name, and I just wish them well and congratulate them, good game. And as much as it was kind of patronizing, like, oh, isn't that special? Isn't that cute of her to do that? That's so sweet. And I just walked away feeling like, I don't know that they're taking us seriously.
Right.
And when I walked away, I'm like, I think we can do this. And I felt that. And we played against some of the greatest athletes that ever put on uniforms in UCLA, Arizona, and the rest of those.
Wasn't Watley on that UCLA team?
Who's that?
Watley, wasn't she on that
Watley,
UCLA?
oh yeah, starting short. So there's a dream team. There's an Olympic team.
Yeah.
So we were just that's that blue collar. We're never say die. We're never going to quit. We're going to keep pushing you and pushing you, especially if you don't believe we're as good as we are. And I think this team felt at times a little bit overlooked or not going to say disrespected, but just overlooked. And the more that happened, the more they gained power, they gained confidence. They just walked in there like they weren't going to be denied and didn't know that they were not supposed to do that. And that changed this program without question. But the build up to it was coming, and you could feel that wave. And we were riding that wave. And the Jennifer Stewarts, the Lisa Careys, the Leah Gullas, Ashley Barrett's, you can keep going, and Christy Ring, Erin Evans. They're all just absolute. Kelly Bright, phenomenal athletes that helped us get there and helped us win it all. And that just catapulted our program to another level.
I always tell people, before Lauren Chamberlain, before Jocelyn Allo, there was Lisa Carey, who hit clutch home runs. She hit the home run off Finch, right? And then she hits the 2-run bomb against UCLA. Then you bunt people around to get the 3rd run in. And Ashley Barrett, your power hitting catcher, is one of the bunters.
Yep.
That's, that was pretty special to get that run.
That's that blue collar. It doesn't matter what it looks like or how you do it, whether it's a home run, a squeeze play, beating out an infield hit. I mean, that was their mentality is we're just going to come at you so hard. You better have been practicing well and know what you're doing. Otherwise, we're going to take you by storm. I think we surprised people with how athletic we were. Powerful.
In 2001, you're really good again. You actually win more games. Jennifer Stewart's back. You get into that long game against, is it LSU, I think? You lose in 13 innings on a throwing error, I think.
Yeah.
But your team was pretty good, but you're on a roll. But you don't win another World Series. And that's when you started telling me, James, this isn't easy to do.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. But I also think I wasn't. Once you taste victory that extreme, that's all you want. It's weirdly like a addiction of I need to win more. We need to win more. I need to win to get our job, keep my job. I need to win to get recruits. I need to win. I need to win. And so my mentality and mindset went to the outcome and winning. And it was horrible. It was a horrible place to live. It was a horrible decision on my part to allow that to overtake me. It affected my relationships with my family and my kids because I was caught up in thinking that that's the only thing I'm here for. And when I finally, and that's another God moment that kind of woke me up, it said, you're not there to win games. You're here to open doors for these young athletes towards me, towards life, towards womanhood, whatever. So it was kind of a big wake-up call, which completely changed my mentality, completely, of now getting caught up in the process and the journey and allowing the outcome to play itself out naturally. That was my steps were completely wrong. I was talking about result versus process. And so, excuse me, once I learned all of that, everything kind of got back on track and we started getting the Kehlani Ricketts and, those type of athletes.
First you got Samantha, right? Then
Samantha Ricketts led to Kehlani, which led to Lauren, which led,
Schultz.
They all led to each other. And that wave of athletes kind of took us back into the national spotlight. Although we were still winning. I mean, I'm looking on the wall and our regional championships, we had a hiccup in 2009, and then every year from 2000 on, 2006, 2009, we were regional champion winners. So It wasn't like we were horrible. We just couldn't get ourselves to that next level. We were always stopped at regionals or super regionals. And once we broke into the World Series again, then we just kind of kept going.
Well, they sent you to Arizona a couple of times. You had to go to Maryland one time for a regional, and so you weren't getting many breaks with some of your regional selections.
Every team feels that, and you get whatever cards are given, and you don't fight it because you don't know how to fight it. It's just the decisions that were made. So instead of fighting it, just bow up and do your job because you're going to have to go through these guys anyway. So it was a really hard time for me coaching. I don't think I was the greatest coach during those years.
Did you feel better about it starting in 2012, or when did you start feeling better about what you were doing?
Probably around 2010, I felt like I was starting to get the concept of how I need to do this differently and enjoy what I'm doing.
That's Samantha Ricketts and those girls.
Yeah. I think Amber Flores
right.
started helping, bring that back, and their quality of play and their passion for the game. I mean, they cared about winning, but I had to kind of take them through the steps properly, which I was not doing properly before.
As she was going through this, Jim, how were you trying to assist her?
Well, just the whole methodology of the personal relationships that she has created with the team, and having the team believe in what she was trying to show them, And the only way that we could accomplish anything would be together and just working together. And that's where iron sharpens iron and helping each other out and just believing in each other. And that's what when she understood, what it took to put a team like that. It starts with the players that she needs to have. And I remember, they were sending us to Arizona all the time. We get our
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, and we get our butts kicked. But you know what? That was the best thing that ever happened to us, because that's, I think, when Patty finally realized, you know what? I need to get some horses just like they have. And then, she started, okay. And, the rest is kind of like history, so.
Well, you got Kalani, and you got her in shape, and you got her ready to go. I know Jim was a part of that, getting her in shape and ready to go. And she was the first dominant pitch. Jennifer Stewart was dominant, but not with 15 strikeouts, 13 strikeouts. Jennifer, in fact, against Arizona, I think, had 1 strikeout, or maybe against UCLA. But anyway, she was so good at getting ground balls. And, hey, I'm not saying anything negative about Jennifer Stewart. It was just different. But Kalani now, that's what everybody, you're seeing Jessica Abbott, you're seeing Finch, that's Kat Osterman. So when you get Kalani, that kind of changed things, right? And it just...
Yeah, it brought us a dominant pitcher without question. I remember recruiting Kalani, and she was so young. She threw hard, but there was just not a lot of movement. So I remember Melissa Lombardi as my assistant coach, and we were talking and kind of contemplating, well, I don't know that she's the right pitcher for us. I mean, what if can she move the ball? And then it was just more of like her size alone and just throwing the ball hard, even if it's straight, still going to get some strikeouts. So when we were talking our way, sometimes we were talking out of it, and I'm like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Okay, wait, So Kalani now in her sophomore year, junior year, now she's becoming not just a thrower, but a pitcher and a hitter.
Oh, she was great.
Hitter. So that was, without question, one of the most elite athletes that we've had in this history, who's gone on to work with the Olympic team and so forth. So, yes, Kalani brought a lot of attention to this program.
You got a powerhouse team in 212, and you get into that World Series, and you're smoking people. You get into the championship game. It's a terrible weather day. Mm-hmm. The Alabama game still, I'm frustrated by it today. I'm sitting there as a media guy. I'm not your voice of your team then, but I'm a big fan, and I'm sitting there watching. And for 3 hours, we're sitting there. And this is when I started to learn that, Patty, you had a voice in softball, that you were getting ready to stand up and say, we need this for softball, not just my team, but every team. And it's that rain game against Alabama when they made everybody play at midnight, and it's still wet out there. And not only that, you have to take the field first. And I'm sitting there going, this is not going to be good. Yeah. And it turned out not to be.
And we were wearing shorts that day.
Right.
So, I will tell you, though, Jay, I mean, that's just the nature of, that's nature, right? The fact, though, that any team, would they ever play a baseball? This is winner take all. This is game 3. This is winner take all. And it was the attitude that I had with, would NCAA baseball play a if game at 10:30 at night? I don't think so. So that was really but I got to tell you that it was a blessing in the same regard, because our team had to feel some hardcore feelings after that. And I will tell you that in 2013, if we didn't go through that experience in 2012, it would not have equipped us for 2013, which was OU fighting for a championship in the middle of the worst tornadic disaster that we've ever had here in Oklahoma. So that was something that was really important for us to go through. We didn't know it then, but I just knew it was meant. Everything happens for a reason. We had to go through that. And that did keep me passionate about making sure that no other teams are going through this. And it wasn't like we don't want to play you, Alabama or anything. It wasn't like that. It was just more of what would they do for the men? And that's when things started to change in my mind, allow me to think differently going forward.
Let's take a time out here. We'll come back. We'll talk about that 2-13 team and go through some of the great teams in OU history. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio Video Podcast. We're talking to the best softball coach in the country, Patty Gasso. We're talking with Jim Gasso, who's getting ready to jump into the pro softball game. It's going to be really interesting. And back with more right after this timeout. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our CBS Radio Video Podcast with Patty Gasso and Jim Gasso. The 2-13 team, you add Lauren Chamberlain, Terrain's growing up, Destiny Martinez. So these girls are still famous in softball lore today. That team was really special. But you didn't really, you got into some games, the Tennessee game and some of the others. It was a great year of softball.
It was a very exciting season. And I when you talk about Tennessee, we're playing them in the national championship game. And I still show clips if I'm out doing coaches clinics or even talking to our team. I'll always show the clip of Kaylani Ricketts, who was so mad at herself. She was very unhappy with her performance. And we were behind. And I guess we ended up, we ended up tying it, and then she gave up a big to Madison Shipman.
Yeah.
It was like a 3-run home run. So now we've got to score 3 runs or 2 runs, 3 to win. Kaylani pops a ball up sky high, and she's pouting, but she's still running. And the wind played a little trick on their second baseman, who dropped the ball. And Kaylani is on second. And I can't even tell you how important that was to allow us to win that game.
Yep. Because
her pouting could have stopped. She could have stopped right in the middle of running to first, or not even run to first, or just run through first, haphazardly. But she ran hard. And that fired up our team. She still had this boo-hoo face on, but the team was feeling hope. And that was one of the most amazing, exciting comeback
Was that
games.
the game you hit all the triples?
Yes, it was all our slappers. So our 7, 8, 9 hitters are doing their job big time and allowing us to score. And that brought up Lauren Chamberlain, who was in the leadoff. And the ball was literally off her shoestrings, and she hits it over left field wall. And that was one of the most exciting games and one of the most important games that's ever been played here, because of what it did for the state of Oklahoma and specifically the city of Moore. We were playing for that reason.
Yeah,
and that allowed all this pressure of our performance off and just doing it for something else or for others. And I think that will always stick in my mind as one of the biggest moments, because we were also personally going through it with the family, the Engel family, who lost their child, Sydney, and attending her funeral and going through these things between games or before games. And it was very, very emotional. But I was very proud of how this team handled themselves and got us to that finish line.
You've gone through some magical moments. Lauren Chamberlain breaking the home run record was so much fun for me to cover and the media around here, because Lauren's a personable young lady, and and she was easy to cover. But you have Shelby Penley, and there would be times on my radio show I'm going, nobody's even talking about her, and she's only like 5 behind Lauren, and sometimes she's hitting them as hard as Lauren is. But anyway, you had this team, and that group didn't win another world championship, or a national championship, but that was amazing, and to watch us go through that. Now, you would go through it again with Aloe, but that was amazing time with Lauren and Penley.
It was special, but it was horrific to coach, to be honest, because you want them both to get opportunity to hit home runs and break these records. So it changes the way you coach. And I changed for them and their record versus what's best for our team. And I really regret that after the fact. But you have Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig chasing
Right.
each other for the home run championship, and so much coverage. That was beyond any kind of coverage I've ever seen, that I think kind of stuck and helped us get where we are now. But it was a very tough year to manage for many reasons.
We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we'll have more on our CBS Radio Video Podcast. We're talking with Jim and Patty Gasso, and we'll be back with more right after this. Okay, this will be our final segment. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to CBS Sports Video Podcast with Patty Gasso and Jim Gasso. The recruitment of that freshman class in 16 and 17, Romero, Knighton, this group comes in. Paige Parker comes in. Paige Parker actually, was pitched great the year before, but to win back-to-backs, those young players, wow, that's amazing.
Well, I give credit to the people that trained them, and their travel ball coaches had them prepared and ready for when they got here. They were not very strong at that time as freshmen, but the offensive mindset changed, where we weren't hitting a lot of home runs, but we were very good contact hitters. And we were pretty quick. So the mindset from my side was angle down and run, hit and run, squeeze again, chop and run with a runner at third. We just kept throwing different darts at you, and you better be ready to receive those or not. And I think we confused a lot of defenses by our free will of running and gunning. And so we had runners at second, and I'd put them in motion. We'd hit a ball up the middle and score easy. I mean, it was constant like that. But then Shane Knighton started to get a little bit of heat on her bat, as well as Sid Romero. And so it was fun. That was so unexpected. That was completely unexpected to me, that we would get that far with so many freshmen in the lineup. And they were gamers, man. They were gamers. So much so that 2017, now they look completely different. Now they're powerful. Now our game plan changed again. And it was more definitely home run style power type offense. So it was fun to coach them. It really was. They were salty, very salty style team. I could call upon them to do anything and they could do it. They could execute it to a T.
Paige Parker will go down in history as one of the guttiest, toughest softball players you've ever had.
Yeah, without question. She always wanted the ball, and I remember it was 2016, I believe, was the Auburn series. She threw every game up to the World Series, and I was so uncomfortable watching her because I knew she was struggling. She was at the point of exhaustion. And we gave her that. We won our first game against the Auburn. Now it's that kind of
if game.
You have that. It's not an if game. It's more of
it's the middle game.
It's your middle game. Give Paige time off. Give her this game off, and we come out and score 7 runs right away. But we can't hold the lead. We end up losing. Now we're in an if game. But the champion that Paige Parker was at that time was absolutely incredible. So very proud of her and what she did for this program, and now she's a very well-established pitching coach. So she definitely is one of the main players that live in the history of this program.
In 2017, you play the game against Florida. You have LeBron James, you have others tweeting out, this is the most amazing game ever.
I didn't know that.
Well, you're having all these celebrities talk about this game, and you're having people tune in, and so people are tuning into this game. I didn't realize the ramifications of it. I mean, Florida was kind of Florida's become a power in softball too, and, you guys are kind of battling and going at it. But the impact of that game, I think it increased the popularity for softball.
100%, 100%. And it was a very good game to watch. You couldn't take your eyes off it. And it kept a lot of people up late, and they missed work the next day, and I heard all about that. But it was two heavyweight, felt definitely like two heavyweight fighters. Like you throw a punch, and you fall, you stagger, but you get back up and you throw it back, and it just kept going. It was really, really a great game to watch. And the one thing I remember is that we pushed the Dodger game. We pushed them off and put us in front of them, and that was like one of the highlights of my career because they're our team, the Dodgers. But that was probably one of the roughest World Series, just the intense.
At least you got paid some help in the circle.
Yeah. Oh, and there again, Paige Lowry as well came in and was an absolute, left her legacy on that field as well.
Throwing 72 miles an hour. Shay Knighton with the big blow in that game.
Yeah.
And she's hurt, right? She's got a knee problem in that game?
She had some knee issues through the entire season, but she was swinging. Sid was swinging. Fale, Cece, Kaylee Clifton, Nicole Penley. I mean, it was a loaded team. Brittany Williams she was gone by then. But we had just some really, really salty, good, fun, athletic players.
The last 2 years have been on a similar role, but it's been different. You've been the Bash brothers. I mean, you've had so much power with Hale and this team, and the recruiting that you've been able to bring in, and it's been really a super situation you've been in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I would be remiss without talking about JT Gasso, who's believe is the best pitching coach in the country, and what he has taught, hitting, his science behind it,
I agree.
His research in it. Jen Rocha, what she's done with our pitching staff, her research behind it. They work very diligently. They work very hard to prepare our athletes, teach them, create confidence in them. So I'm just prideful mom / coach and boss. And Jen Rocha played for me here at OU. So watching this being in our family, literally, has been quite a blessing.
And you come into this year, you lose Hale, but you've brought in some great transfers. Just kind of go over this team. What do you think? You open your season here, coming up in the 1st of February, so we're right around the corner.
Pitching staff is extremely strong. So we have a healthy Jordy back who didn't enjoy how her last season ended, just with injury and unable to help the team the way she wanted to. So she's back, and you may see her in the offense. She's really strong, very healthy, swinging well. Added Alex Storako, transfer from Michigan, who is crafty, moves the ball very well. It's going to create some good, a little offset from Jordy, but like a crafty type. And then I think this is going to be Nicole May's best season on the mound. She's really developed and her confidence, and just really pinpointing. We got a new lefty, Kirsten Deal, color KD, and it's nice to get that lefty matchup in there. S.J. Guerin is going to redshirt for us, another freshman lefty, which makes sense for us. And then we add Sydney Sanders, powerful hitter, playing first. Her defense has improved a lot. Alina Torres is playing third, but I likely will see her at first or in the outfield. And she is more of a clutch, power but clutch. She just is very timely with the things she does. Haley Lee, All-American from Texas A&M, catcher, outfield, power hitting as well. I think I've covered all. And a couple of the newcomers, Jossie Erickson, a big, strong lefty hitter, freshman, good at first, can catch. So one thing, James, I told all of our players, I'm like, we are so loaded as a team. Every one of you must learn how to play two positions really, really well. And if you do, your chances of getting in the lineup and staying longer are better. So some of them have created three positions that they're very good at. Jossie Erickson is one of those. And We've got
Kinsey Hansen, is she healthy?
She's healthy. Knees are good.
It's always good to have the Team USA catcher on your
Yes,
roster.
back to her old self. Grace Lyons, back to her old self.
Coleman in center.
Grace Lyons is the best shortstop I've ever seen
I agree.
in all my years. The best I've ever seen.
But she's become your four-hole hitter.
Yeah, and I think Jada Coleman's the best center fielder I've ever seen. I get to see these guys every day, so I get, T.R.A. Jennings is one of the purest hitters I've ever seen. So you put all those ingredients, Riley Boone's elevation of her game, Alyssa Brito coming in and locking down at third right now. We've got just some
Hannah
young
Core,
ones.
who's a young player for you.
Avery Hodge, another young freshman. Hannah Core has been improving. Everybody's improving their game quite a bit. Sophia Nugent is someone you don't talk much about that has really elevated her offense and her defense. So lots of options, which is great. But every part of our game is pretty dang solid right now.
You always play a challenging schedule. You go to California, you don't go to Florida. And I get asked all the time, how come they're not playing in the ESPN? I go, but I like your Mary Nutter better. UCLA's always out there, and that's why you go out to California, right?
I think it's recruited oriented
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, a lot of our recruits are from the West Coast or gone west. We've played in the Florida tournament, and it was tough. The facilities kind of very much like Mary Nutter are just not conducive for big crowds and elite playing surfaces. So if I got to pick one or the other, I'm picking Mary Nutter just probably more because a lot of our players are from that area. Recruits can come see us. The weather is good. It just makes a little more sense for us.
Yeah. The rest of the schedule, though, you're going to be challenged.
Yeah. Our players were fired up when I announced to them what the schedule would look like. It's been tough to have teams want to play us. They won't come here. We got to pay them a lot of money to come here, give them big opportunities with hotels and food and so forth. So if we have to go find them on the road, we're taking a trip to LSU. We're going to Mississippi State. If we have to find them on the road, we'll go do it. And Joe Castiglione and our administration has supported that opportunity. So the team we don't love run ruling. We love those tight games. Those games make us better. So that's what I expect we're going to have a lot of.
Patty, you've always said one thing you hoped happened with that professional softball would take off because you have these great players, and you've had them throughout your tenure at OU. They don't have a place to go play. If they don't make Team USA, there's a few options overseas, but if you could get something going, well, the Professional Softball League, which Jim is involved in, let's all hope Oklahoma City's going to have a team, the Spark. Let's hope it takes off.
Yeah. Do you know how excited I am to see Lindsey Elam, Kehlani Ricketts, and Jossie Allo all on the same field together in Oklahoma City? And Oklahoma City, the fans have come, and there's a lot of fans of those athletes. So I am really excited. I think the Spark, and I get to hear Mr. Jim Gasso hustling at home on the phone, trying to create a great lineup for Tina Floyd and Amber Flores to win with. But that's going to be the next step. That's what the fight should be, is that a lot of these young women can make a living playing professional softball. And I think this is a big step for our city, for our sport. So I'm really excited and anxious about how this is going to turn out.
Jim, what about this team, this league? It's 4 teams. Tell everybody, what's going on with the Fast Pitch League.
Well, we just added that Dallas team, and so there's 4 teams this season. The schedule is just about to be announced. But our ownership, I'm lucky to be involved with them. But they're top-notch people, and what we want to create is a top-notch, first-class, professional, fast-pitch league and mimic Major League Baseball. And so we want to be just like that. And so we want to help these women become professionals and treat them like professionals. And then, in the past, whatever the league used to do. They work clinics before games and things like that. Well, we don't do that. We're not going to do that. We're not paying them to do clinic. We're paying them to play professional fast pitch softball. So it's going to take some time. But if we set that precedent right now and get the right people with the right mindset, and we're just going to keep going forward and trying to become as professional as we can be, and bringing in the right players to help us grow the sport at the professional level.
I know Patty mentioned 3 of the players. You got a great hitter from Mississippi State coming in. I'll let you pronounce her name. But I couldn't pronounce it when you played her last year. But you've got a pretty good roster so far. Is the roster set? I mean, are you still adding players, or what's going on there?
Yes, it's Fa. Her first name is Fa. But we're still signing players. We got making a couple announcements, for the last group that we're going to get. But we're also getting ready now for the draft, which will be in April. And so we got
the draft will come from college players.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So we're going to we have 5 picks. So we're gearing up for that, and exactly who we want to go after. But we're almost set with our roster of the players that we have signed, and so now we're going to shift a little bit and get ready for the college draft.
Fantastic. Patty, if I can close, let's talk about softball and where it's headed. It's grown a bunch. It's huge now. But what else needs to happen still? You had to fight for new lockers at the Hall of Fame Stadium, and I didn't know you didn't have a bathroom to go to and things like that until you start pointing these things out. So it looks like it's in a pretty good place, but what else has to happen? Are you happy where it's at?
I think there's always room for improvement, without question. I don't always like to compare us to, say, what baseball has, but the Hall of Fame is making a conscious effort to improve their batting cages, and talking about creating a new indoor facility that would be fantastic. So your team's not standing out in the 100-degree heat shagging balls. And so there are numerous things that just little here and there type things. They're also talking changes about selections now, and we all pushed about being transparent and showing us how you're ranking more than just the top 16. Rank the top 36 and let us know why. So there's just always secrets. There was always how come? Why are we playing Washington in a super regional on ABC? Great, ABC, thank you, but why Washington? They have no business being here. So then you start to create these conspiracy theories, right? Did they set that up because it would be a good matchup for ABC? And if that's, so everybody starts playing those kinds of games. We want transparency, and we want to run a first-class softball World Series, first class. And so Hall of Fame has stepped up to the table and added all those new seats. That is a game changer on the field. So you can feel it like you're at a football stadium. Right. It is loud. You can feel it. So I really think Hall of Fame has championed that ask, and they have come to the table, and they're working on it, and they're passionate about it because they want to make it a first-class event. So it's more than just that. We are still fighting for salaries. We're still fighting for stadiums that are appropriate for our teams, and that's when you kind of compare them to what's around on your campus. And it's not like I'm trying to cause an uproar, but if I have a voice that will help someone want to fight to get more for their softball program. Well, thank God you do speak up, because if you don't, nobody else does. I don't know where it's going. I hope someone, I've taken the torch from the women before me, but it's going to take a lot of torches, not just one. I mean, a lot of people have to jump in on this to make it continue to grow. So I've just thought, I haven't even asked you about the new stadium.
Construction has started. You're going to be
Yes.
playing there next year.
Yes.
That's another dream you had.
It is kind of like the icing on the cake without question. I mean, we've been recruiting to a facility that is not equipped for the fans or even our players anymore. We've outgrown this, and so the money, some wonderful donors have given big money, the Loves family as well. So this is going to be the best state-of-the-art for not just fan experience, but player experience. I can't even tell you how proud I am and excited I am, but just to see the dirt moving, and the area that they've secured is so much larger than what I thought it would be. So this is going to be a humongous stadium with all the best. It's gonna be have all the bells and whistles. So we're really excited about
Well,
it.
you're going to have an alumni game, so all
We will.
the young ladies that paved the way, even the
Absolutely.
Mathises of the world and people like that, come back and play. Let's go.
100%. That will happen. Assured of that.
And I promise you'll sell that out too. So, Patty and Jim, it's been my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be friends with you guys, to know you guys. And believe me, I'm a softball head, as you guys know. And, and I appreciate you letting me hang around the program a little bit because it means a lot. And Jim, thank you for all your help. I'm going to be hanging around the Spark too. And, I look forward to it. And just thank you very much and best of luck. Stay healthy and have great lives moving forward. And I hope you can coach as long as you want to, Coach.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having us.
That's Patty and Jim Gasso, and you've been listening to CBS Sports Radio's video podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. God bless. Please don't drink and drive, and have a great day, everyone.